Guys, we record this podcast in the afternoon and we were just looking at the AI companion feature on Zoom. And we were both having, well, I'm speaking for myself. I was having a problem focusing on what I was reading because it is 3:30 in the afternoon and it's snowing. It's a snow day.
Yeah, I'm looking out my window right now and it's starting to come down.
And I don't know about you, Jesse, but like I can't like if it's snowing, it never snows here. And so I'm so excited like a little kid. I just can't wait.
I just hope we get enough for it to do something.
I know. Well, it's
We'll see.
so daggone cold
So
that
cold.
it's gonna stick. Whatever comes down is gonna stick. So I'm really excited. But speaking of stick,
Where are we going here?
where are we going? Are you gonna stick to running? Because you just ran a marathon. Is this how did it go? What advice would you give somebody thinking about running a marathon? Let's hear it.
Okay. Advice you didn't care to hear.
Mm-hmm.
No, it was really, really great. I mean, I think a full was a one and done for me because it's a big time commitment. But yeah, I'll keep running just for funsies. Um, it's a good way for me to distract my mind, from all of the things that work or personal. So I do enjoy running, but the marathon was amazing. I told Jen before we hopped on here, I'm like, hold on, I got to go get a coffee. I'm like, all right, they say you're having a midlife crisis, like in your 30s, if you're running a marathon or drinking coffee at 3:30 in the afternoon. And I'm doing both. So
That's
here we
what they
are.
say.
I think they do.
Well, I'm screwed. What? So you're having a midlife crisis if you're running a marathon and drinking
Not
coffee at three,
midlife crisis. What I mean,
a nervous breakdown?
I don't know. Maybe I'm having a nervous breakdown. No, I don't know. Just something to distract you. It's like either you're having kids, you're moving across the country, or you're running a marathon
Running a
in
marathon.
your
I got
30s.
it.
And so,
Okay.
um, yeah, it was super crazy because it was on this island called Defusky Island. And I knew nothing about it. Nobody knew anything about it. But you have to go to Hilton Head and you get on a ferry and it's like 30 or 40 minutes out. And I'm glad I didn't know any of this before it started, but they have no hospital, no police force, no morgue, no grocery store. Um, so it was very
Like a
desolate. So we got out
deserted
there.
island.
It was kind of cool though. Like they had a really nice end called Hague Point, which is where the run started, and it rained the whole time. So I was talking to one of our builder partners earlier, and he's like, "You got to do another one with the crowds and better weather." And I was like,
Mm.
"Absolutely not.
Well, for
Absolutely not."
crowds, all you had was us leaving you voice memos that you could listen to while you
Which
were.
were amazing, by the way. That was super cool.
I think we should just have that like all day long for people, like not necessarily a marathon, but where you're just sending people like hype messages all throughout the day.
We
Like
need them.
it's 3:30. Like
Let's
dig,
go.
dig deep. You got another couple hours of work. Let's go get your coffee.
Yeah,
We could use those. We could have those for online sales specialists. Hey, make that last prospecting call. Let's go.
I
Man.
love it.
Okay,
I
this is
love
going
it.
to be a fun episode. All right, Jesse, welcome to episode 31 with Jessie Suggs, my partner in crime. So
We're going to
excited
be
to be
at
with you.
100 before we know it.
I know, 31. It's
31.
like, I know. It's the little baby podcast now is 31 years old, almost as old as
So
you.
fun.
Um, let's do some quick housekeeping before we get into what we want to talk about today, because we've got a lot of stuff coming up. It has been crazy busy for Do You Convert already. We're 3 weeks into the year, and I'm like, holy cow. A couple things we have coming up. So, Online Sales Academy Leadership Edition. We are actually, by the time this podcast airs, we will have opened up registration. So what this is Online Sales Academy, a mix of fundamental training in online sales with leadership training around it. Meaning, as a leader, you're going to learn a core fundamental, and then you're going to learn how to manage to that core fundamental. So this training is really for anybody that is in the seat as a manager of a team or an individual OSC that wants to get more training around this role. It's March 11th through the 13th. We're going to kick it off with 3 virtual half days together. And then we stay together for quarterly roundtable meetings. It also includes a ticket, Jessie, to the Online Sales and Marketing Summit in Chicago in the fall. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's really a great deal. Plus, I think one of my favorite things about it is as a member of this academy, you get immediately added to a private group of other online sales leaders where you can ask questions about what everybody else is doing, get that immediate support and feedback and advice. So I'm really looking forward to it. If this is something that you're interested in, make sure that you get signed up right away. I'm limiting it to 20 people because I want to keep it small and intimate. So we'll include the link to that. Definitely check that out. You can also get all of this information on our website. What else do we have coming up, Jessie?
Well, I mean, we have National OSC Day, which is actually a national holiday, but it is one of our favorite days of the year. So yes. On February 9th, we get to celebrate all of you officially.
Yes.
All that you do and all the hard work.
February 9th actually falls on a Sunday, but a lot of you are working. Okay. So make sure that you remind your leadership that this is coming February 9th. We will be doing something. We're probably going to be doing like a live pod and, do something to celebrate you ahead of this day. But we wanted to put it out there, put it on your calendars, remind everybody that this is coming up. What else do we have coming up? The Builder Show.
Yes.
Jessie, you're going, right?
I'm going. And, I realized that it is so ingrained in our mind to say IBS in front of random people that don't get it. So yeah, the International Builder Show is coming up in Vegas again. And it's one of my favorite times to network, but also to celebrate all of the national award winners. So I'm looking forward to that too.
Yes. And we have some Do You Convert colleagues that are speaking. Who's speaking, Jessie?
Well, I got to give Carla a shout out first because this is her first time.
Carla.
Yes. So Carla, Julie, of course, and Kevin from our team. So if you're there, make sure you go and soak all that in.
And Carla is up for a national award too.
Yeah.
So that's exciting.
Year.
That's exciting. Okay. And then last but not least, just putting this out there into the universe, we are still looking for an online sales coach to join our team. Candidly, since we're all friends that are on this pod and you guys listening, we had somebody that came on that was going to join the team that was getting ready to start and then got another job offer and decided to do something else. So it's been really hard to find that unicorn person to fill this role. So we are still looking. Just as a reminder, like if you're somewhat interested, like shoot your shot, apply, let's have a convo. I always encourage you to, just check it out, check into it. And I know a lot of people have told me like, gosh, I don't know if I could do it. Like, it looks like you guys. And I'm like, here's the thing. If you like helping people, if you like teaching people, if you like sharing your knowledge and what you've learned and how you do things with other people, if you get joy, if your cup is filled from, helping somebody else be successful and achieve their goals, this is the job for you. If you like animals, this is the job for you. Now, notice what I said. I didn't mention anything about you have to know exactly how to be a coach. You have to know exactly how to do everything, the as I would do it or as Jessie would do it. Didn't say any of that, right? So if you check the box on those things that I just mentioned, and you want to take your online sales career to the next step, apply. Let's talk. So just want to put that out there, let you know that we are still looking for that coach. All right, Jessie, what are online people talking about
I thought you'd
right
never
now?
ask. I thought you'd never ask. Well, if you're listening, you're probably either managing this position or in the seat. So you can probably, as soon as I say it, you're going to go, yep, check, me too. But what I'm hearing just across the board is it is starting off strong. Like January is pedal to the metal. The volume is there. The engagement is there. It's starting off strong. So they're busy, working hard.
Everybody's, yes, it's exciting. When hopping on calls recently, it's like, hey, how are you feeling? Oh my gosh, I'm busy. Like, this is good. Like, things are rocking and rolling.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's exciting, right? We have seen, and, typically, after the holidays, it usually does pick up, and we are seeing that happen across the board. We've spent, Jessie, a lot of time, I'd say the second half of last year, talking about, okay, like when things, when leads go low, like here's some things you need to do. Like when you find yourself with more bandwidth, here are some things you need to do. And today we're going to actually flip the script and
Yeah.
say, when you find yourself busy, like, whoa, okay, like coming out of Q4 into Q1, it's go time. How can you make the most of your day when you find yourself like at the end of the day, like, oh my gosh, did I get everything done that I needed to do? Oh my gosh, it was so busy. The phone was off the hook. How do you structure your day for the maximum impact or maximum efficiency? So we're going to talk through some of this with you. So take notes. This is a instructional pod today. Jessie, I think one of the first things that comes to mind when I think about this is understanding what the non-negotiables are as an OSE, like in the
Yeah.
role, like these are the things. And when I say non-negotiables, I mean like first priorities, like these are the things that have to happen before anything else.
Right.
What comes to mind for you? What are some first priorities or non-negotiables?
If you asked the newbie Jessie OSC when I first got into the industry, I would say everything. Like everything is a priority. Everything has to
Yeah.
be done. I have to check all the boxes. I have to make sure everything's done before I can shut it down. And, time in the seat and just knowing that that's not the reality
Yeah.
is being able to segment your first priorities from your second priorities. Because if everything is a fire, nothing's a fire. So when you think about how to kind of structure your day and what is that first priority is all new lead engagement, whether
Mm-hmm.
that's what came through overnight, how do I
Right.
manage, like when I'm starting my day, where do I start? And actually,
Mm-hmm.
I think before even thinking about what came in overnight, it's really when does my day start? Like, does my day
Yeah.
start when my phone starts ringing or does my day start at 8 a.m.? Like creating those boundaries for yourself. So giving yourself
Yeah.
margin to look at stuff before you have to act, I think
Yeah.
is a first priority we don't think about.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And we're going to talk about kind of like what we think a typical day should look like for sure, and creating that margin in the morning. But yeah, new lead management. Like I can remember maybe it was Mike or just maybe it was myself. I don't know, but it's like nothing else happens. Like, or like new leads trump everything else. Like if you're busy working on something and a new lead comes in, you stop what you're doing, you take care of that new lead, right?
Right.
Because that first touch is so important. The second thing I would say is a non-negotiable is your inbound calls, like answering your answer rate. Like inbound calls, like if you're having a problem answering your phone and getting and keeping your answer rate high, like that is a non-negotiable. Like nothing else happens until you take care of those inbound calls because that is the very best lead that you're going to have.
Mm-hmm.
And notice I didn't say outbound calls. Inbound calls first and foremost over everything else. What else, Jessie?
Well, that's funny you say that. I was just talking to a leader today and we did a victory lap because the OSC just really put the pedal down on making outbound calls. Like that was just a
Well,
challenge they were
yeah.
having. And then at the same time, it was like that missed call rate started creeping up. And I'm like, wait, wait, wait. Yes, this is important, but it's not more important than this. And so we
Yes.
had to have that conversation, which is it's
Yes.
interesting.
Yeah.
It ebbs and it flows. Um, the next important thing from new lead engagement is nurturing the leads that you do have. So,
Mm,
are you completing all of the tasks in the CRM when
yeah.
they're due? Like,
Yeah.
not delaying to the next
Yeah.
day and having them, kind of stack up. So, I call it
Yeah.
like clearing out your CRM. And then more than that, inbox zero, like your
Mhm.
actual email inbox. So,
Yeah.
I kind of hit two, but both of those things.
The fourth one is appointment setting process and handoff. And what I mean by that is making sure that we're doing all the steps of the handoff. Where we're not only setting the appointment and doing what we need to do in the CRM, but we're confirming the day before. We're following up post appointment. We're communicating the information, taking good notes, communicating that information to sales. So all of that, I see sometimes when we get super busy, we might have a tendency to cut some of those corners. So that that process is a first priority for sure. All right, Jessie, what else? Number 5.
Yes, we're going to say it. Prospecting is a first priority.
Yeah.
Like it's one of those things. Not all leads are created equal. Not all priorities are created equal, but they are still first priorities. So making
Mhm.
sure that you're giving yourself some margin in the day to make those outbound calls when it makes the most
Mhm.
sense, when your
Yeah.
inbound calls are down.
And definitely like, how much prospecting that you're able to do, right?
Mm-hmm.
When you are busier than other times. But, I think Jessie and I both agree that there is a minimum effective dose of like that you have to do, right? Like you're at least getting the email out, something like that you're putting aside some time to do that as a first priority. Um, the sixth thing is reporting. So one of your primary responsibility is to quantify the leads, like understanding how many leads are coming in, what those sources are, your appointments, your sales, the conversion metrics, keeping track of that on a weekly or daily basis as far as your appointments, but a monthly basis as far as your conversions and your leads and things like that. That is a primary responsibility. Companies and leadership, they're making decisions, making marketing decisions, making staffing decisions, making, all kinds of decisions based on what you're reporting as far as your leads and what the conversions are. So that is super, super important. Okay, last one.
This is one that took me a while. We get vulnerable with y'all, but it was one, a margin thing, but two, I made excuses because it kind of made me uncomfortable. But attending those sales meetings, like
Yes.
showing your face, presenting yourself as an extension
Mm-hmm.
of the team really does change the dynamic of
Mm-hmm.
how much they value what you're sending them and the communication and all of that. So getting
Yeah.
your face in front of them.
I'm surprised. Like this is one, that like you're saying, you might not necessarily think about it as like a non-negotiable, like in your day-to-day stuff,
Mm-hmm.
but it is so important that at a minimum, right? You're going to the sales meeting at least for 5 to 10 minutes, at the beginning to shake hands, kiss babies, see everybody, give a quick update so that you are inserting yourself in your salesperson, in your salespeople's world. They can see you as an extension of their team. This is super important. And if you are in a situation where you can't physically be there, because maybe you're not in that market, or maybe, the sales meeting is not where you can get to, send a quick video, like a bomb video or some video where you're, like, hey, it's Jen from Online Sales World. Here's what's been happening. and you're inserting yourself into their inbox. Maybe not into their meeting, but into their inbox, and they can see you talking about that. That is a non-negotiable. That is a priority. So, how, Jessie, when we're super busy, how are we going to accomplish all of these first priority things? Let's kind of walk through like what a
Yeah.
typical day can look like in an ideal world. What should we start with?
Well, yeah. I laugh because if you would have tried to tell me that I could plan my day when I was in the seat, I would have laughed because I'm like, who knows what's going to happen today?
Yeah.
Um, but the first thing is creating a structure that you can ebb and flow, like just like your follow-up process and all of those things. It's there, it works, and then you make it work for you. So, like I mentioned earlier, I think the first thing when you start your day is to start before your phone calls start coming in. Like,
Mhm.
give yourself time to enjoy your cup of coffee and look at what tasks you have, set your goals for the day, and then be intentional with your time.
Yes. Listen to me very carefully, everyone. Don't roll out of bed into work. I love you, but you've got to give yourself some margin, around your day. If you roll into work, and you guys know what I'm saying, okay? I mean, look, we've all done it. If you roll into work, you're going to keep rolling through the day just like that. Like you're constantly chasing something, or you will never feel like you're ahead of the game. So definitely start your day with some margin, a few minutes to set a goal or two, like here's my intention for the day. I want to accomplish these two things, and write them down. All right, Jessie, what are we moving into next? We got our two goals for the day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you
What do
go.
we
Okay.
tackle first?
First is we talked about it, new leads.
Yeah.
What do you have that you need to be working? Because even though it came through overnight and you don't have that 5 to 15 minute response time, it's still important that the first thing that they receive when they open their inbox is that communication from you. So new
Yeah.
lead management.
Yeah. Don't, resist the urge to jump into your email
Yeah.
because, having done this, the next thing you know, it's 5 o'clock and you haven't even really done anything in your CRM, or so that could be a rabbit hole that you go down. So don't even open your email, go right to your CRM, start with your new leads. Then you're going to roll into your follow up activities that you have scheduled for the day, and then go to email, and then go, okay, like who's been responsive to me? Who do I need to take care of? Prospecting power hour. If you have time, like if you get all of that done and it's not lunch yet, and you go, okay, I'm caught up on my activities. I've taken care of my new leads. Meanwhile, you're also answering incoming calls, because if the phone rings, you're stopping what you're doing, you're answering the phone, right? But if you have time, why not do a prospecting power hour before lunch, right? So it could be pulling a list, making some phone calls. It could be sending an intentional email out to that list, something like that that is happening in that hour.
Mm-hmm.
Jessie, how do we feel about lunch breaks?
What's lunch? Just kidding. Just kidding. Lunch is also a non-negotiable, and um, it means not sitting at your desk eating and shoveling it in your mouth in 10 minutes and getting to work. It's taking a step away. It doesn't have to be a full hour. Like, I never need a full hour to eat. In fact, I want to get back to work so that I make sure that I
Right.
don't have anything at the end of the day, but truly stepping away from your computer and your cell phone. Like, what I mean by that
Mm.
is not phone calls necessarily if you're a one man band, but like your personal cell phone where you do the doom scroll of social media because it's your break.
Ooh.
Like, that is
Ooh.
like a trap. And then you don't feel like you've digitally disconnected at all. So that's my little tip right there is take at least a
No
30-minute
doom
lunch.
scrolling.
No doom scrolling. Is TikTok back yet? I don't know.
TikTok is back. TikTok, it was like we took it away, and then by the end of the day, it was back. I wouldn't know. Then my daughter updates me on this stuff. I
I don't
am
have it
not on
either.
TikTok, but apparently it was gone and then it came back.
Okay.
No, I like that. No doom scrolling, because it does give your brain a break. You guys are looking at screens all day long.
Mm-hmm.
So don't sit there and have lunch and look at your screen. Take a break. Okay, you come back from lunch. And what do we need to do? Get back any new leads that came in, right? It's kind of the same thing from the morning. Clean up new leads, clean up any emails that have come through. If you have time to do a prospecting, something in the afternoon, that's a great time to do that. Also, just like we had margin at the beginning of the day, give yourself margin at the end of the day where you can kind of button things up. Make sure, did I get back to everybody that I said I was going to? Pulling up your call tracking system and be like, okay, here's the calls that came in. Did I miss anybody? Do I need to call anybody back? Listening to those calls, like, who did I say that I was going to send something to? Jessie, this was my Achilles heel. I would write everything. I wrote everything down in a notebook, and then
Same.
I'd have to go back and be like, okay, did I transfer all my notes into my CRM?
I know you put a big X
Right.
through
It's
the
like,
page
okay,
once you
yep,
enter the link in the
yeah,
CRM.
took care of that. Check. But you got to have some time at the end of the day to close up shop and do that. And the other thing is, if you are nearing the end of the day, make sure you're setting expectations with customers that you talk to. Like, let's say it's 6 o'clock and you're hey, is it okay if I get this information over to you in the morning? Don't, yeah, I'm going to get it to you tonight and then not do it. It's better
Right.
to set the expectation if you're at the end of the day, or even with your colleagues and your management. Like, hey, can I get that to you tomorrow? Set the expectations, create the margin. Okay. Now, notice we didn't, and again, this is when you're super busy. What are your first priorities? Notice we didn't talk about site visits. We didn't talk about marketing videos and all those things, because those are secondary priorities, meaning if we're taking care of all the first priorities really well, okay, our performance is where it needs to be. We're getting the results. We feel good. Our bandwidth is good. We're getting done all that we need to do. Then we can add on secondary priorities.
Mm-hmm.
So what are some of those things, Jessie?
Well, it's really anything that doesn't fit into the first priorities, because with any organization, depending on what the needs are, people come to you a lot of times because, one, they don't truly understand what you do. They just know you're highly efficient. You get everything done, you check all the boxes, and it's easy to go, oh, give it to Jen. She'll handle it. I know she has a very, attentive
Right.
attention to detail and all of those things. And as people pleasers, which is what makes us good at our jobs, we're normally like, yes, yes, yes. And so you have to go, okay, let me pause. Is this what Jen and Jessie said was one of my first priorities? And if it's no, then it falls into that secondary category. And that doesn't mean that it's not your responsibility if your company is asking you to do it. It's just, where does it fit into your day? And is there someone else that can help with that? So that's hard, but it is things like going and visiting the site, walking floor plans, shooting content for marketing, even like handoff videos. And I know that's crazy because that stuff takes a while, but you've got to margin that into your day when it doesn't trump customer experience.
I love that. And the other thing I just want to remind everybody is the number one biggest, time suck is our meetings. So if if you find yourself in a lot of meetings, you need to say no, or you need to say, is this something that you can just download me on after? Or is this something I could attend the first 5 or 10 minutes, get the online sales specific information, and then I can boogie. You've got to be able to set your boundaries around that, because if you're in a meeting for an hour, an hour-long marketing meeting or something, then you're missing calls, the activities pile up, and it's just gonna add stress to you. So okay, Jessie, having sat in the seat, I can remember, you ebbing and flowing, and there were times when you were crazy busy. What are a couple of tips that you've learned or that you want to share with everybody?
Um, well, the first thing I think a lot of it is surrounding like where we're at mentally. There's times where we're going, oh, I just wish there were more leads. Like, I wish there was more to do. I wish I didn't have to make the phone ring outbound.
Yeah.
And then that wish comes true and you're busy. It's like either one extreme or the other. And you're
Yeah.
going, oh my gosh, I wish I wasn't so busy. I wish that I had more time in my day. And so it's first remembering that the peak that you're at right now is going to offset the valley that will come because
Mm-hmm.
seasonality happens in the seat. So when it comes to appointments and sales and all of those
Yeah.
things, like ride the wave right now, like put in the hard work right now so that when you get to the end of the year, you're like, dang, look at all that I did. So number one is just ride the wave. Like don't live
Yeah.
in another place than what you're in. But it starts with your mindset. So you could say we're hippy dippy, but starting with gratitude is important. I just think it's like something
Yeah.
simple. Like, I don't
Yeah.
have to do this. Like, I get to do this today. So
Mhm.
let's focus on that. And then when you go into it with this like perspective, you go, okay, what are the 1 to 3 things that are my non negotiables for today? Because I remember, especially maybe the first year or two as an OSC, it did feel like the hamster wheel a little bit because there was
Mhm.
always something else to do. Even
Yeah.
if I did complete all of my tasks and I did clear out my inbox, like I knew that there was something else I could do. And so that was hard for me. And when you say these are my non-negotiables and you complete them each day, you go, okay, you feel that sense of accomplishment, knowing the rest will come. So set some non-negotiables and when you complete them, you feel good. Um, my other one, I was thinking through this is get the stuff done that you don't want to do out of the way.
Oh,
Like,
amen. Like get the
like,
hard stuff done out of the way.
yeah, I am
Yeah.
not going to want to record video emails after lunch. Like, let me just
Right.
go ahead and pre-record them and
Right.
I'll send them out throughout the day. I don't want to make 20 outbound
Mhm.
calls. I don't want to bother them before lunch. I don't want to, and we make up excuses. So get the hard stuff
Yeah.
out of the way and the rest will happen. And then just don't delay. Like the more time you spend thinking about how you can fit that activity into another part of your day,
Right.
you've already wasted all that valuable time. And then like,
Right.
it's like a brain suck. It's like,
Like don't think, just do.
just do it. Just do it. And then you're done and you're like,
Right.
dang, I actually have time left
Just had
over.
this conversation with Amanda earlier about, okay, totally, I mean, kind of related, but on the same thing about, working out. It's like if you get up and you work out first thing in the morning, then you're like, you feel like such a sense of accomplishment. Like, I already got that done. And like, now I can just go about my day with less stress versus thinking about, I got to get a workout in. I got to get a workout in. I got to get a workout in. It's the
Mm-hmm.
same thing. It's like, okay, I know if my goal is, I got to make 20 prospecting calls a day, like get that done.
Yeah.
And then like you're done with it and it makes you feel like proud, like already check that box today
Mm-hmm.
or get your videos or whatever it is that you're dreading doing. I love
Yeah.
that. All right. I love those tips. Skills check because you better check yourself or you're going to wreck yourself. So here's your skills check this this pod. Take inventory of your responsibilities. So that's the first step. It's like, and sometimes when you sit down and you actually map out everything that you do in your role, you're going to be amazed. Like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I do that or I'm responsible for that. It's way more than just managing leads. Like you're
Yeah.
doing a lot of things. And then you need to, Marie Kondo some of that stuff, right? Everything that I do, what are my first priorities in this list? So segment that out. First priorities, second priorities. And if there's anything that you can get rid of, anything that's, not bringing you joy, that you need to say, thank you and goodbye, then you go and you meet with your manager and you go, you know what? I'm just not able to get to this, or this is not a first priority. I'm suffering over here at the expense of this particular thing. Hey, I'm having to do all of the marketing. I'm having to do all of the website updates and my answer rate is hurting over here. Right. So that's what we want you to do. Map that out. I remember I struggled with this as an OSC for sure, because I wanted to be doing all the things.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to be in the meetings. I wanted to be out on site. I wanted to be doing all the videos. And when I really looked at it, my conversion started suffering. Like, I'd look at my report and I'm like, oh, I'm not getting the sales that I need. I'm not getting the appointments that I need. And I remember Mike Lyon, who was my coach at the time, said, is what you're doing a lead converting activity? And if it is not, stop it. And go to your manager and say that. Like, I had to go to my manager and say, sitting in this meeting, write down all these things I'm doing. Sitting in this meeting is not a lead converting activity. And that's what I was hired to do. So sometimes it takes you doing that. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to sit down and go over this with your manager. You will feel so relieved. Jessie, any thoughts on this?
Well, I mean, if you're like, well, where do I start? Kind of just put your brain, if it's like you were creating a job description for what somebody who
Yeah.
was applying to your company, like all the things that they would be responsible for on the
Mm-hmm.
daily, like start there and then layer in some of the other things that maybe had been added to your plate since you joined the organization. And then you can start to create the first and secondary priorities. So I would say start there. And then just remember, when you say yes to something, you are saying no to something else.
Yeah.
And so if you say yes to attending a meeting, you're saying no to answering the phone. And that,
Mm-hmm.
like, everything that we're saying has to make sense for your organization. Like, if you
Right.
have a team of people and you can tag team someone in, of
Mm-hmm.
course you want to do that. But if you're, kind of lean and you're being pulled in a million different directions, like, this is kind of tailored
Right.
to you in the way that it makes sense. So, yeah.
Yeah. The last bit of advice, and then we'll let you go if you're still listening, is that, you might have a plan for your day. Like, you start out like, hey, this is what I'm going to accomplish. And the day does not go as planned. Okay. That happens. That's okay. You start over the next day. Okay, I'm going to carry these two goals I had from yesterday over to today because
Mm-hmm.
yesterday it takes practice. It takes time in the seat, experience with time blocking and habit stacking and things like that. So we just encourage you to try it out. Starting with a plan is, 80% of the battle. It's 80% of it, and just try to stick with it and just go, prepare as best you can because the market right now, let's ride it out. Like Jessie said, this is awesome. It's busy. So let's embrace it. All right. Thank you guys so much for listening. Go do the thing, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.